I love a good cutscene. A little bit of well-directed and scripted breathing room in a game can help move the story along in ways that gameplay just can't. But the vast majority of the time, when I turn on a game, I'm way more excited to play the game than I am to watch the game. Even for something like Monster Hunter or Red Dead Redemption 2, where the cinematics are just outstanding, I'm definitely more excited to jump back into that sweet, sweet gameplay than I am to watch a cutscene. But there's one game where the opposite is actually true, and it kind of thrives because of it. I love Asura's Wrath. For the past couple days, I've been having the time of my damn life playing this bombastic, explosive, unfathomably entertaining piece of media. And the more and more I played, the clearer it became that this video game is one of the best movies I've ever seen. And if you haven't played the game, then that sentence doesn't make a single lick of sense, so let me explain. Asura's Wrath is an action game all about a man taking revenge. Specifically this man, Asura, the most badass mother to ever walk this earth, taking revenge on the people who killed his wife, kidnapped his daughter, framed him for murder, and tried to kill him.
That's rough, buddy.
And he takes his revenge using some of the most grandiose action set pieces to ever grace the world's TV screens. Oh no, not that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this.
Forgive you. Making my daughter cry.
Ironically enough, the game part of this game is without question the worst part. The cutscenes. The cutscenes, man, that's where it's at. And that's why I find Asura's Wrath so interesting. Because if this were a movie or an anime miniseries like it so clearly wants to be, it would be a stone cold classic in the eyes of weeaboos all across the nation. Let's talk about why. The sci-fi and fantasy genre are so often boiled down and distilled into the most basic possible version of those genres. Listen, I love Lord of the Rings, but if I have to see another fantasy IP filled up with goblins and dwarves and wizards that look exactly like this, I will scream. Instead of being based in Lord of the Rings and Blade Runner, Asura's Wrath is all based in Hindu and Buddhist mythology, which means I instantly fell in love with literally every single character design in this game. All of them are draped in these beautiful costumes with these complex patterns, adorned with this gorgeous jewelry and this gold plating. Every inch of their skin is covered in these crazy carvings, and it's all textured to look like cool stone statues. It looks awesome. It looks so cool. Every inch of every character is so intricate and gorgeous. And not just that, the designs are great on their own, but they're also fitting. You look at Asura, you know exactly what he's all about. You look at this big ass fool Wizen, you can already hear what kind of bullshit he's gonna start spouting. I mean, look at this guy. Look at August. This dude screams Kung Fu mentor turned mortal enemy who lives and breathes for a good battle. What I'm trying to say is this game has art direction that is not only gorgeous, but it's also functional. This is so bizarre because I'm talking about why the filmmaking in this video game is better than a lot of movies. That's very strange to me. But despite how strange it is, I can't stress enough that Asura's Wrath has some of the best directed, well choreographed, expertly edited, and magnificently performed action sequences that I have ever seen. It's not often that you play a game or watch a movie and you see something that you've never seen before. And during my playthrough of this game, I was seeing things that I'd never seen at least once every chapter. A man bigger than a planet trying to smash Asura with his big pointer finger, only to fail and get his shit rocked by a microscopic man with 6 arms. A kung fu fighter who stabs Asura with a sword long enough to take him from the moon through the earth. No, not to the earth, through the earth. Or how about a gun shaped like a member of the Blue Man Group that's the size of a whole galaxy? The sense of scale in Asura's Wrath is something that I have yet to see topped. You take these large-scale movies and video games like Ran or God of War, and from now on, as good as they are, they'll all feel a little bit smaller now. Not just because of how huge this game is, but because of how well communicated the hugeness is. Asura's Wrath puts a lot of effort into using great dynamic shots, huge wide shots, appropriate character reaction, and great structure to really sell how gargantuan this game really feels. This is the easiest way to communicate skill. A gargantuan wide shot with a little tiny Asura here and a big ass Wyzen right here. Seeing a little teeny tiny itty bitty you next to this hulking beast you know that you have to fight does a great job at making you nervous with the scope. This is my favorite. I love this shit. Moving the camera around to sell the size of something is so effective. It makes my heart want to explode. Right here, before the camera even starts moving, it does a great job with this kind of almost comically low framing, showing this colossal Wyzen towering over Asura, as if the cameraman is lying down on the ground. But then, it gets even better. Right here, watch. As he slams his fist down, the camera pulls away further, making Asura appear smaller and revealing just how much more of him there is than us. At the beginning of the shot, he and Asura took up pretty equal amounts of screen space, but by the end of the shot, big boy Wyzen here was taking up like 90% of the screen, while little teeny tiny baby Asura is just a speck of dust in Wyzen's way. It's a really quick, really subtle, but really effective way to communicate scale and weight in a way that makes me want to go Also, I can't get enough of this shot here. Asura running down his arm like that. I won't blab about this, but look how cool that is, my goodness. For some context, Wyzen has grown to the size of a planet, and he is now using his gigantic pointer finger to squash Asura. I feel like a lot of movies capture scale fine enough in terms of cinematography, but they really fall flat when it comes to their characters reacting realistically to said scale.
I'll kill you! Stay back!
Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Like, really, Mark? Really? That's how you're gonna react to that? That's what I say when one of my daycare kids points an elastic band at me.
Don't shoot!
The way Asura reacts to Wyzen bringing his finger down is awesome for two reasons. Not only does it do a great job at solidifying in your head that some really heavy shit is about to go down, pun intended, but it's also great characterization for Asura. He sees this country-sized finger coming down to kill him, and what does he do? He does a sumo stomp, he hunkers down, and he says, that is so fucking cool. Plus, there is a great example of dynamic and wide shot use here. The way the camera pulls back to reveal like a football field's worth of finger is so good. It's so good. And right now, talking about Asura's little stomp that he does makes me realize how important it is to give your action scenes a little room to breathe. Think of any of the best action scenes, and one of the things that makes most of them so good is the downtime, when people stop fighting, ironically enough. The goons getting tired and scared in Oldboy, the part during the overrun fight in Kill Bill, the incredible motivation shift in Primal, the knockdown in Creed, the bear examining Glass's body in The Revenant. Giving your scene some room to breathe and your characters a moment to react to what's going on is a great way to make a scene feel more human, and ultimately makes it hit harder in my opinion. I think where a lot of action movies fall flat is where scene starts, people fight, scene ends. That's it. A lot of directors forget that they actually have to structure an action scene with some purpose to make it really good, and that's one of the things that makes Asura's Wrath so special to me. The structure of these fights are unbelievable, man. It starts here, very small scale friend versus foe, and it ends here with a 6-armed demigod versus a deity the size of a planet. And it's constantly introducing new ideas into the scene to keep it interesting, and using cause and effect to keep the pace steady despite having some room to breathe, like I said earlier. It is immaculate. Let's talk about it. Wyzen tries to kill Asura, but Asura kicks his ass.
So long, Bowser!
So Wyzen uses a Mega Mushroom, and despite Asura's best effort, he gets his ass beat. So Wyzen gets cocky. He starts spouting off about Asura's daughter. Oops. Asura uses his powers of rage to grow 6 new arms and knock Wyzen on his ass. So Wyzen unleashes a giant battleship on Asura. But Asura's rage does nothing but grow, and he takes the ship down with one well-placed shot. So Wyzen regains his strength and takes on Asura again. But Asura buries himself in Wyzen's chest and slingshots him into space. So, naturally, like you do, Wyzen grows to the size of a literal planet and tries to squash Asura like a little kid fighting a beetle. But under that big ol' finger, Asura remembers what happened 12,000 years ago, and his rage is at an all-time high, giving him the strength to unleash one final punch that from finger to forehead disintegrates every cell in Wysen's body, finishing the fight and unfortunately killing Asura in the process. Or did it? Now I know that might sound like a lot to deal with, but those 11 beats are stretched across a perfectly paced 16-minute sequence. It starts here, and at a very consistent pace it builds up to the point where it can end here. It's magnificent, I love it. Now just to compare, let's take a quick glance at a scene from my favorite movie, 6 Underground. Ryan Reynolds and the gang are on a boat, and they have access to this gigantic magnet to help them defeat the enemy. That is a great setup. That could be used for one of the most creative action sequences in years, right? Well, let's take a look and see what they did. Ryan turns on magnet. People fly at magnet. People fall off magnet and start shooting. People fly at magnet. The scene grinds to a halt for 35 seconds to tell us something we already know and to show us Ryan walking around. People fly at magnet. People fly at magnet. It's so poorly structured that I almost don't even have the energy to finish a 2-minute action sequence. It starts here and it ends here. But going back to Asura's Wrath, all of... That was the most cartoon sound effect ass burp I have ever heard in my life. Anyway, all these techniques being used to sell the scale of the game, all while still making it absolutely gorgeous. They're not just framing it to meet the objective of feeling big, they're framing it so that it also looks incredible. I would happily have anything that I just showed from the game as a wallpaper on my computer. See? And the level of care that they put into the visual language applies to pretty much everything else too. For the cutscenes at least. We're not going to talk about the gameplay. The sound design, the music, the performances, everything here in the cutscenes are top notch. But behind any good action set piece there needs to be good stakes. This is so important. Some kind of story that gets us actually invested in the action on a level deeper than just, oh, that looks cool. I was actually shocked at how invested I ended up being in the story of Asura. Anger is such a visceral emotion to empathize with. And seeing someone's entire life get taken away and seeing how the rage of an event so grim can corrupt, motivate, and ultimately redeem a character is really, really gripping. I think the crew that wrote this game understand that a lot of the time simplicity is key. The whole wife murdered, child kidnapped, attempted murder revenge tale isn't new by any means. It's something we've seen a million times before. But it's not about what you're telling, it's about how you tell it. And Asura's Wrath is told with such an unfathomable amount of style and passion that I think it's impossible to not get invested in it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good time watching this video. I had a great time making it. I had a great time playing that game. If I did my job at all, hopefully you'll want to go play it now, and you really should. It's a great experience. I want to thank you guys a lot, actually. The channel has been doing pretty well. You know, it's not huge numbers, but when I uploaded my Warhammer video, I uploaded that video at 8 subscribers. And by the end of the week after uploading that, I was nearly at 30. And like that knocked my damn socks off. My Criterion video is over 1,000 views now. That knocked my damn socks off. I am so happy. You know, it means a lot. I'm really thankful for it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you continue to watch, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.